Wonderful. So we are back now with Guy Bridge, the CEO of Finpoint, a great fintech company focusing on helping companies to access finance. And we just heard it from the British Business Bank, so can imagine how important it is, and it's obviously on many people's minds to grow your business with access to capital. So with that, I would like to hand over, Guy, to you now to share what Finpoint does and how you help businesses.
Lovely, Suzanne. Thank you very much for that introduction, and to FinTech Circle, and also to the FSB for today's event. Listeners, please feel free to join us afterwards in the booth for any Q&A, because what I want to do today, we've already heard a degree of the growing importance of FinTech and the impact it has on the UK economy, wider society. But what I wanted to do today was to give you a whistle-stop tour of how using technology, small business owners can access finance more easily. And I think the easiest way for me to do that is to share Finpoint's experience as a credit marketplace to show how we can improve a business's chances of obtaining credit. So I'll just move briefly on. There's a few slides just to help the process today. One of the things to put things into perspective is that in context, only 5% of small businesses have a person that's involved in finance or a finance director. So they don't necessarily focus enough time and attention on and spend on funding requirements, or are put off because they've got a poor credit score, or resisting the fact that they wish to apply, and then they apply too late. So it doesn't have to be like this, as it's always worth exploring possibilities. And SMEs now have many more options using our credit marketplace, not least because there are so many fintech lenders who are more flexible than traditional lenders in their approach. So it's a significant problem that we recognise. And as you can see there, 50% of SMEs do find and struggle to actually obtain credit. But similarly, on the other hand, many lenders are too reactive. And when they use the Finpoint technology, they know they're going to get relevant introductions and are more quick to respond to the relevant businesses that come through us. So most, I think, listening today will be well aware of the problems that businesses have experienced in seeking finance, made much more difficult in the last few years. But it's also led to many more lenders offering a digital alternative. And in fact, that's what a lot of the COVID applications for credit were made through. But it's also, and I think this is critical, made more SMEs more comfortable with using digital tools. And this is only going to increase. So we've reached a tipping point in certainly businesses, not necessarily consumers, in using digital mechanisms. With HMT requiring firms to go digital on VAT and then making tax digital, this will encourage the use. So overall, we're just going to see an increase over the next few years. So that's the problem. What we look to do at Finpoint is really approach things in a way that we're trying to speed the whole process up for businesses, ensuring that there's no impact on their credit score if they use our platform, and there's no harm in using the service from their perspective, giving them options because it's free at the point of use. So we have, it's both an altruistic service in that what we want to do is for SMEs to find the best credit option that suits their needs, but we don't sell credit. If they're not ready, we will advise them, and it's an honest and open approach. But we're also agnostic, as our aim is to provide as much choice as possible for a borrower. And what I mean here is that we're keen to have a broadest range of lenders join our panel, providing they meet the relevant regulatory requirements that we have to adhere to as a regulated entity. So we have got traditional high street lenders, as well as a whole multitude of specialist lenders. But the key to what we do is the technology. The technology does all the heavy lifting, and we'll just explore that in a little bit more detail in the next few minutes. But as you can see, we've got over 140 lenders on our panel, so that's giving a significant choice to borrowers that come to use us. So effectively, we're providing a solution to businesses. We're a credit marketplace, and that enables a borrower or a small business owner to be in a driving seat as to what they can do. we've got one place where they can collect data in our virtual data room, and they control where that information goes. And we're doing that by using APIs. And for those that aren't familiar, that's application program interfaces, where we are linking in and facilitating a user journey with other applications. And what we're seeking to do is match a borrower with their requirements with relevant lenders. And we've got processes with some lenders where we can do a completely automated route from end to end with relevant guides as they go through the system. So, it's an excellent example of a means and a tool that both borrowers and small businesses and lenders can utilize in a way that is useful for them. So the technology itself is making, as I said already, doing the heavy lifting and collating the information as easily as possible. And we've got over 20 integrations with various systems, including Companies House, cloud accounting platforms, and open banking, which I think, as I'm sure most of you will be familiar with by now, the UK leads the world in open banking in terms of accessing information. And I think it's only likely to undergo a rapid increase in terms of the adoption rate over the next few years as various other countries take up the challenge to achieve what we've achieved here in the UK. And as people and businesses in particular get comfortable in using and sharing that data to help them in what they do. So I think it's critical for what we're seeking to achieve for a business. And as you can see from this slide, I mean, there's a variety of things in there which the businesses locate and put in information. We facilitate that. Banks have their own dashboard that they can access and see the relevant connections. We've got the ability to interface then with other service solutions as they go through the process of seeking credit. And I think that's another key function or ability that the technology of today and the various API functionalities that you could achieve. You don't necessarily have to have one solution covering everything. You make a large number of plugins to useful solutions that could ultimately be collated to help a business raise finance. So as part of the fintech world, and whatever sort of segment of that is, whether it's in fintech for a payment solution or digital lending, or indeed insurance, you have to be constantly innovating, as in fact we are at Finpoint. So what we've been doing is developing other products to add on to our core service in providing that credit assistance and intermediary service to borrowers and potential borrowers, because ultimately we want to be a true comparison site for SMEs in finding credit. But there's a lot of challenges to achieve that, and lots of lenders obviously don't necessarily share all the data that we would like, but they're increasingly doing so, and we're pulling in open banking data on the relevant financial institutions to help improve and enhance that overall credit service. But at the same time, we've developed a business current account finder. So that's just literally comparing, and it's a good example of where we're using open banking data as opposed to individual bank accounts or business bank accounts to share the information that lenders have to provide to the open banking ecosystem. And we're giving an honest answer to someone a business that wants to compare and contrast various different bank accounts. And similarly, from our mobile solution for the credit marketplace, we're just making it easier for the user and the user journey, adding additional features as and when we are able to. And it's developing complementary services that will help businesses as and when they come and seek finance, as most businesses are needing to do. We're also looking and working with some partners on a broader finance hub, and I'll come to some of our partners in a moment. And it's an approach which will enable businesses to be better prepared to apply for credit. And to help with that, the various fintech solutions that are out there and that we can plug into will be enabling better use of data and analytics. We've already got forecasting functionality in the platform, and we're going to seek to do more, all to enable it to be easier for a small business owner to obtain credit. So we're constantly innovating and will continue to do so. Anybody in the fintech world, as I'm sure you can imagine, if they don't, they're not going to succeed. We've got another unique approach, I think, and it's worth pointing out. We value, as lots of people say, and it's often trite, but I think we wouldn't be working closely with our core partner, the Federation of Small Businesses, if it wasn't the case. But we value long-term collaborative relationships, and we have that with many business support groups throughout the UK. And indeed, we focus on a regional approach, whether that be with a Chamber of Commerce or a Growth Hub, because they're servicing businesses in a regional community and they like that regional approach. So what we're doing is providing the technology behind it, so they have a finance finder that they can co-brand with and use our technology. But as I say, the by far the largest partner we have is the Federation of Small Businesses, and they do choose to use our platform because we're delivering to their members an access to finance solution that is not only an exclusive service in the way that we operate it to them, but it's open, honest, transparent, and ultimately is serving the needs of the business because we have their interests at heart. Another partner that's worth mentioning, and particularly for those listening, is UK Finance, which is the industry body for UK lending institutions. And we provide a similar service to them through their brand, Better Business Finance. So we're providing the technology to enable those that are stuck, and if they've gone to their existing lender, they can't get help, then that's the route that UK Finance is recommending they choose. Because again, it's a very transparent process and we're seeking to help the business and not selling credit. And ultimately, our aim is to reach as many of the 5.9 million SMEs that exist in the UK, which is growing and sadly also shrinking in certain areas, but it's overall it's growing, and the further we can extend our service, the better, to provide the choice required. And just a little bit of additional detail there, and as I say, one example with the Federation of Small Businesses, the platform itself is co-branded FSB funding platform, and I'm not going to go through all those points, but essentially this slide speaks for itself. We're providing an additional regulated service that a business support group doesn't necessarily have. And the comments that John Glenn made earlier on about the FCA and the new initiatives they're pursuing for facilitating additional change in the fintech world is very welcome indeed, because we work closely with the regulator in meeting all the requirements they set. And the more that they can do to make it easier for us, that's extremely welcome. But so for partners, we work extremely closely with the FSB, and they recognise, as I said, our USP to deliver a very open and transparent service to their members, and that we put the business owner first. But to my earlier point, we're not selling credit; it's providing the solution that SMEs are looking for, and helping them in that whole process, which actually for a lot of businesses is quite traumatic. But if you could use technology to do much of the work, then that actually facilitates a great deal for the business owner. Now, I haven't talked at all about what business financial options we actually have, but through the platform, essentially, the technology does all forms of debt finance for any type of corporate construct, whether that's a limited company, a sole trader, a partnership, and all types of funding, whether it's funding to pay suppliers or staff, for promotional activity, funding on the trade finance side, investing in technology. We can facilitate with all those. The remaining government scheme, the recovery loan scheme, there are a number of accredited lenders on the platform, not all of them. So they're on our panel. But it's worth pointing out to listeners, if they're not familiar, all those lenders that are accredited, if they've got a better lending product at more competitive terms, then they should be offering that first to businesses. And so I don't think the recovery loan scheme is appropriate for all businesses, or it might not be suitable, let's put it that way. But certainly they can get to choose from it if they want to pursue that route through the platform. And I mentioned two other areas there. The R&D tax credits, again, I was very pleased to hear what John Glenn's saying about the changes there. I myself, as a business, used the R&D research and development scheme it is very useful for small businesses to get an ongoing support for all the innovation that they're seeking to do. And as I say, through the platform, they can choose that option, and we can then take them through a different user journey that's very straightforward in terms of achieving that, if indeed they qualify for an R&D tax credit. And the final one there, I mentioned grants, because everybody's often will try to look for grants, but generally speaking, unless it's of a certain size, most of those are available or accessed through local authorities or via growth hubs. But if someone comes to us, we will facilitate that, and there's some functionality within the platform to flag up what we can do to help them. And so really, conscious of time, that's a quick whistle stop tour as to what Finpoint does. And as I say, very happy to answer any questions in the booth afterwards. And I think very much so, Suzanne, it's excellent to host this, because it's so current, and going forward, it's only going to be more and more important.
That's great, Guy. Thank you very much for sharing what Finpoint does, and how easy it is to access finance through your platform, and all the various options available to small businesses. So thanks very much, Guy, for having us with today at the conference, and sharing with all our attendees, your services. Now what I would like is we're moving now to a new topic, which is sales and marketing. So this will again be relevant to all of you, how to sell and market better. So we're moving on to the next session, which is with a sales and marketing coach and expert. So I will end the session now and see you in a second with our new speaker, Mark Etram.